God led me to you tonight to make these videos because this past week, I had the shittiest week. But today he led me to read the rest of Luke as I've been reading along the way. And then there's some things I just want to talk about, you know? And Luke was what I needed to hear from God tonight. First of all, he threatened me. He said, if you don't make these videos, you're going to perish with the rest of them. And I said, oh no, hell and I don't go together like that. No way. I don't want no parts of it. None. So I'm making these videos for him and us so we can get this world put together, honey, before he put that final judgment in. And I just hope you ain't on the wrong side. You know what I'm saying? Whew. But anyway, let's get to the parables that I remember, you know, that are in Luke. Let's start with the two sons. So there's a parable in Luke where Jesus is speaking. And there are two sons. And the younger son asked his father for his portion of his wealth. And the father gave it to him. And the younger son went out and, you know, chasing women, doing all kinds of things. And he ended up spending up all his money. And he was in a foreign country. And he married a foreign woman. And that country that he married the foreign woman in began to starve. So he had to come back home broke and penniless and hungry. You know? So he was hesitant about coming home because he knew he didn't want to disappoint his father. But when he did return home, his father was happy to see him, you know? And his father threw him a party and invited everyone and dressed him in the best, you know. Invited the family over. What's up, fam? Yeah, he done came crawling back in here, but he a little different now. And I think that's the point of that parable, is that when you come back to the Father, you're going to come out different. I think he had learned his lessons out there that brought him back to God and his literal father, who was respected. But the other part of the story is there was a brother who worked very hard for the family who never left. He worked hard side by side with his father, and he never left. He was been the responsible one the whole time. And he was wondering where his party was, you know, for toiling and laboring for the family. Like, where's my party? My friends never got invited over here, you know? And he came to the house and he saw that this big party was going on to honor his brother, who had pretty much abandoned the family to go out and live his best life. And now he didn't have nothing. He wanted to come home. But he didn't just come home. He came home changed because he learned his lessons out there. And that's why his father so gladly accepted him back. And his father told the other brother, he was always with me. I'm always be his father, But then the older brother was like, again, like, where's my party? And then the parable ends. And I always think how the older brother might have felt, Like when you've done so much with people you stuck around, probably even if you didn't want to. And you get no appreciation for it. But it's just a synonym that God has used to express his flock. And Jesus said something like, if you have 99 sheep, 100 sheep, if you have 100 sheep or something like that, and one goes astray, do you abandon your whole flock just to go looking for one? Well, yes, go looking for that one and bring it back to the flock. And this made the shepherd happy. And who is the shepherd? God, right? Jesus, the living Christ. And it also says in Luke that you should rejoice in the returning of even one flock, one repentant soul, even if it's just one. You should rejoice in it and you should be happy, because the flock never left. The flock always been with God. The flock always been doing what the good thing. But you might not get the appreciation of it, But you get the fruit of it, which is God's fruit. I like that parable. So if you're the unappreciated person, toiling for the family, keep your head up, You might not be appreciated, but you're help bearing the fruit. So that there can be some parties, because, Dad is getting old. And that's why you stood by his side. Let me see. What's the other parable that I came across tonight? Oh, in the book of Luke, people hated Jesus' power. And he ain't have shit but power. They hated it. Them Pharisees was making laws to kind of counteract whatever he was doing. So check it out. Every Saturday, every Sabbath, I call the Sabbath Saturday because I think that's truly when the week ends, not Sunday. But that's a whole nother celestial story. So let's get back to what I'm saying. So Jesus used to, slay demons on the Sabbath, which was a Saturday. And, consistently, every Saturday, come get your demons slayed. And he would slay those demons, and people would be so astonished how people could get up and walk and talk and be healed by the command of someone's words. And them Pharisees and them lawmakers back then, they made the law to say, You can't do that on a Saturday. And Jesus said, what? What? Well, let me tell you what else goes on Saturdays. You know, you got to feed your cattle. Are you not going to feed your cattle on Saturdays too? On the Sabbath? Because, and he was slick too. He was like, okay, so am I not supposed to heal this woman who's in league with the devil for 18 years, a daughter of Abraham? Shoot, I was like, I hope that ain't me. I ain't in league with the devil, but he be on me. And Jesus, you know, like, should I not heal her? Y'all don't want her crazy butt running around. And of course, he probably healed her, you know. And he just made them look ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Like, y'all out here making all these laws saying I can't do this and I can't do that because of who I am and who I represent. Please.